All right, welcome everybody, and thanks for attending today's Power Webinar, Driver Safety, Navigating Safety During Uncertain Times. My name is Patrick Urista, and I'll be moderating for today's presentation. We're going to go ahead and get started in just a second, but first I'd like to say we're very excited to have Mike Coble with us as presenter today. Mike is the Director of Sales for FSS, or Field Service Solutions at AssetWorks, and is a 27-year veteran of wireless mobile computing deployments and has a wide range of experience with electronic field ticketing deployments across diverse fleet-based industries. As we all know, this year came with a lot of changes and challenges for fleets, making the adjustment to the new norm. Mike is here to show you how technology is able to keep your driver safe and how to make your fleet more efficient. But before we get started, I just want to give everyone a quick heads up. Since most of us are working from home and have kids and pets as our new coworkers, the microphones have been muted. So if you have any questions at any time during the presentation, you can use the WebEx chat tool. You should all see the chat icon located on your screen, and this acts as an instant messaging tool. So please feel free to use the WebEx chat tool to enter any questions during the presentation. Make sure you send them to the host, and I'll be more than happy to field and relay them to Mike at the conclusion of the presentation for our brief Q&A session. So with all that being said, Mike, whenever you're ready, go ahead and get us started.
Great, thanks Patrick. Thanks, appreciate the introduction, and thanks everyone for your time today. We appreciate that. Just going to be a short 20 minutes or so discussion, and hopefully some time for some Q&A after that. So without further ado, of course, we're all operating during the new norm, so we want to kind of talk about driver safety, how we can address some key things. We do, one of the key things that we have found with some of our successful organizations and clients is really designating a driver safety champion. So we all know protocols are changing, probably weekly. Information is changing constantly. So it's really important you allocated that role to individual or multiple people to keep everyone up to date. Ensuring people are adhering to the policies, educating them on the policies, and really importantly, incorporating feedback from your staff. Right? We've all had to pivot on certain things and make changes. Things we think are a good idea today are a bad idea tomorrow. So communicating and having that driver safety champion and making sure they have the time and resources to do that job, because that will take a significant effort these days. All right. Now, another element of driver safety, of course, is all the cleaning. I'm not going to spend really much time on this. We've all been hammered the last 6 months and probably tired of hearing the word sanitizer and masks, but these are some of the given things we're going to take on. So I really want to spend a little more time today focusing on, leveraging the technology for driver safety. So what is that? So we got to look at the organization and say, hey, do we have the right technology in place? What can we do differently? Well, what are we doing now, but what should we be looking at doing differently? And part of that is how can we be more efficient? Of course, given today's market, some of you are doing better these days, and some of you are doing worse, depending on how the COVID has impacted us, right? And then can we afford to change? Well, that's great that we can, this technology is in place, but how do we afford it? How do we justify making some changes to improve our safety, for our drivers and also, of course, efficiencies. So a big element of the driver safety is, how does a paperless business model help us achieve greater driver safety? So there's a couple elements. I mean, there's going to be the 4 key points to look at, or the electronic field ticketing and dispatching component. If applicable, more for construction oil field where you're going to have job site safety analysis, GSAs. We're all familiar with ELDS and, of course, driver vehicle inspection. So making sure we're doing those pre and post trip vehicle inspections. And so this is where we want to look at, how does paperless in these areas contribute to driver safety? So first of all, electronic field ticketing, really what is it? Just to clarify that. So as a trucking organization, you're going to have some office system that could be as simple as a QuickBooks, that could be a major ERP system, that's clearly some type of office system or multiple systems in place. And then from a field ticketing perspective, there's going to be a ticketing and dispatch module, and this is dealing with the day-to-day activity. I'm assigning work, I'm dispatching work, I'm receiving completed work from the field, I'm validating that, I'm making sure that's good to go for invoicing. So that ticketing and dispatching module is really that real-time, what's going on, what's happening right now, dealing with the daily activity side of things. And then contributing to those modules is what happens in the vehicle. So your drivers are going to have some type of hardware, and that could be a phone, a tablet, or a rugged tablet, and then there's going to be mobile application or applications, multiple, running on those devices, and to facilitate that field ticketing. So that's a very kind of high-level overview of electronic field ticketing. So from a driver safety perspective, in terms of work dispatch, how does paperless help that safety side of things? Well, first of all, there's it's electronic assignment of work by dispatch. So this means eliminate the need to physically pick up job assignments. I'm no longer, as a driver, needing to crowd into a dispatch house, interact, pick up paper, interact with a bunch of people. I'm getting my work right to me electronically. So I'm no longer having to have all that unnecessary extra contact with office administration and dispatch personnel. It also avoids the handling of paper between office staff, right? So we're not all touching the same items, we're not all touching the same paper and passing it between multiple parties, all right? And at this point, drivers have no need to enter the dispatch office. They can pretty much proceed and get their work and get on their way without, being well social distanced, as we're all more familiar with these days. And the other thing it does, it allows to support work from home policies. So this technology, if I'm doing electronic assignment of work, like many of us working from home these days, I don't need to be in the dispatch to hand off paper, create paper, generate paper to get it to the drivers. Okay. Now, outside of the whole COVID and social distancing that we've had for the last 6 months in our face, the other additional driver safety scenarios that can be happening with electronic dispatching is you're eliminating the phone calls and texts and writing, the drivers writing things down. So as dispatch, I'm not calling or texting drivers where they may be, distracted driving consequences from maybe they don't pull over when they answer the phone or answer the text. So it really helps the compliance with both legal and corporate policies by eliminating these phone calls and texts and writing. And it's true, you are sending messages out to device, but there's technology that allows you to just have an audible indicator. So yeah, while the operator's driving, they will get audible indicators. There's maybe new loads or messages for them, priority messages, but they're not allowed to interact with the device until the actual vehicle is stopped. Again, completely eliminating that safety issue of driver distraction while they're driving. Okay, and that's going to avoid costs that you're going to have from, of course, costs and time and effort from disciplining your drivers, them getting fines. Of course, the worst ones, which are the accidents and associated, potential injuries that can come from distracted driving. So that's a real key value proposition of driver safety using electronic dispatching. So the other side of it is when drivers are completed their work completed your paperwork for the day, it's the same impact as dispatch. I eliminate the need to physically drop off the completed paperwork. I don't have to go drop off paperwork in the office. I'm going to avoid that unnecessary extra staff contact. And again, the additional handling, multiple staff aren't handling paper that you've been handling. So, and again, I don't really need to enter the return to the yard to the office. So I'm quite efficient if I don't have to park my truck in the yard and I take it home. That can certainly save a lot of time today because I'm not just spending time dropping and burning fuel and time to drop off paperwork. And then in addition, kind of on the client side, your client invoicing can be completed in real time electronically. So same thing, I don't have to handle paper for reconciliation. You have all your data you need electronically. You can get the invoices out electronically. And again, this facilitates your work from home policies and capabilities because you're not having to be there to receive paper, manage the paper. That allows you, electronic dispatching allows you to work from home. Now, the other paperwork that's, that causes, extra handling is the job safety analysis. So, again, that's a paper form filled out at each job site. You're identifying the hazards that are there, what preventative measures you're going to be taking. It gives you the ability to document and communicate any job hazard findings that you have at that job site. And the same paper handling. I'm eliminating paper. I'm eliminating the need to submit that in person. And plus, with today's item climate, you can add to your JSA all the COVID protocols that you need to have and the associated PPE, et cetera, so that your JSAs are further, further solidifying the safety tasks that your operators need to do if this is applicable to your business. Now, ELDs, you're all aware of ELDs, of course. Those of you in the U.S. have already been using ELDs for a number of years, and you eliminate the paper handling. So same elements there for the ELDs. Canada is going to be this next June 2021, where it's going to be mandatory. But you have all the paper logs that you no longer need to manage and handle and communicate, and saves, provides the same elimination of paper as you would with dispatch. And of course, the final thing, you're reducing fatigue-related incidents. That's the whole reason for ELDs, and that's that is why you have ELDs, is the overall pending desire to hopefully reduce fatigue-related accidents and ensuring that the proper hours are being driven on a daily basis. And the final piece of paper that you can look to get rid of is your DVIRs. So again, same thing, eliminates passing paperwork between successive drivers or technicians. If there's a defect information, that's sent electronically in real time, so you're not having to interact with the maintenance staff. Plus, the other side of it is, as a driver, and if it's an electronic DVR, I'm going to get instant real-time feedback that vehicle is not safe for me to drive. So if I'm doing a paper one, I may tick something off, but it doesn't mean I can't pop up and drive that vehicle. When I'm doing electronic ones and I come across a major defect and I check that off, it's automatically putting that vehicle out of service. You're automatically getting alerts to the right people. Dispatch knows immediately they need to assign you a new vehicle. So really, it takes an additional, manual step out of that process where, you're somewhat forcing the driver that, hey, I can't drive this vehicle because it does have major defects. So from a safety perspective, I'm not just ripping out of there with a defect I know that should be fixed because other people know about it. So that really, the electronic and getting rid of the paper, has the no need to touch the paper and manage that, but it also has all the other value of real-time feedback to the drivers and maintenance staff, so they can act and make quick decisions and get the driver going in another vehicle. So as you can see, there's a lot of paperwork handling. The whole goal of going paperless is to eliminate all the paper handling, and not just from the social distancing aspect and touching and transmitting between all those touch points, but it's really the efficiency basis. That certainly has a lot of help in improving your operational efficiencies and your bottom line. And fundamentally, some of the driver distraction tools really facilitate some driver safety. So the other kind of topic we had was just GPS tracking technology. Well, again, certainly not new. There's general safety value of GPS. That's just inherent natural items that bring a driver safety element to the table. The most obvious one is speeding. Speeding is, the number one, challenging issue with road safety. So you can do speeding tracking by posted speed limit. You can also do it by speed threshold. And this is more applicable that maybe I have a larger vehicle, so I say, hey, I don't, even though the speed limit might be 70 miles per hour, this vehicle type I don't want to see going more than 60 or 65. And you can also do it by user-defined areas. So if you have construction job sites, construction sites, private roads, et cetera, you can user-define speed limits where you're making sure you're meeting your customers' requirements in meeting the safety needs for those particular areas. And the other kind of driver behavior element is the aggressive driving. So being able to monitor harsh braking, harsh acceleration, swerving. So, when you're monitoring all these elements and you're using the management tools of, real-time alerts and driver scorecards and dashboard reports, it really helps you to focus on those drivers that, certainly you may need a little more training, and also reward those drivers that are doing really well with that, and rewarding and reinforcing the good driver safety behavior actions. From some of the few other things with GPS tracking is there are, geofences and clustering and simple things like, hey, I can ensure drivers aren't congregating together unnecessarily if that's an issue for your organization and part of your policies. You can also know, where drivers, operators are spending time in facilities when they're supposed to or not. So you do have the ability to know what's happening with your drivers and ensuring they're acting in a safe manner, right? And then same with the the breadcrumb trail, the snail trail. You can certainly absolutely see where your driver's been, what stops they've made, where they've stopped, and you can ensure they're only going to the places they should be and maintaining a safe route and limiting any unnecessary contact, which is unfortunate these days, but state of the nation. Now, in addition to the breadcrumb trail, we're utilizing the heat map technology, and what this heat map is really, the idea of the heat map is I'm going to take a specific behavior event and across my entire fleet, all my vehicles and drivers, is trying to identify where are the risk locations. So, for example, I could say I want to see all the harsh braking that my fleet has done, in the last month. And I could get a heat map like this. I can't drill down on this, of course, with PowerPoint, but I could drill down and say, geez, there's a couple of road segments where there's very consistent harsh braking across the fleet. Now, this could be because this is the bottom of a hill or sharper corner, and this allows me to take these risk areas and incorporate them into my safety training to my drivers. Hey, if we drive in a fairly consistent area, listen, we consistently have, harsh swerving or excessive braking in these areas or excessive speeding. These are areas we need to focus on as drivers, so we're not going to roll a truck or cause an accident. So really, the heat map really lets us narrow in on fleet-wide areas that could use some that can help us in our safety training. So one of the questions is, can I afford new technology, especially today, given so much uncertainty and everything that's going on? So we talk about some of the, ROI and what makes sense, right? So paperless absolutely has the ability to reduce costs. So just the paper alone, paper forms, the printing of it, storage, the handling, the sharing, the environmental impact, all these things result in cost to your organization. And a study by Gartner, they're seeing that it's easily 3% of a company's revenue is spent on paper, and that can be substantial. So it seems inexpensive when you're just looking at onesie-twosie, but when you start adding it all up over a year, it can be a considerable amount of money. The other side is labor costs. You look at electronic dispatch, and your dispatcher time, there's with loaded job instructions sent instantly, you're really eliminating a lot of the repetitive, mundane tasks. I'm texting, I'm calling, I'm trying to get a hold of them. They're calling me back, but I'm on the phone. They're waiting for me, we're leaving voicemails. So it really eliminates some of those repetitive, mundane tasks. And, a big one, too, is where's my load? Your customer calls. Where's my load? You got to call the driver's got to wait to answer. You get a voicemail. You can have a bit of a three-ring circus for a while till you can answer that call, versus electronic dispatch and GPS combined, you can answer that question instantly for your customers. And another side of it, if you go down the avenue where you actually give your client the portal themselves, well, they can actually answer their own questions, so they're not adding extra resource time to your staff. And there's also, with electronic dispatch, you could actually get work from your clients electronically. So that's great cost saving because they're the ones inputting data and inputting orders in your system. It makes it easy for them to give you business, and it saves you time. So, that's That's a great way to help make you sticky with your clients. Okay. And then you can have your dispatchers, focus on problem solving and customer service focus, and versus some of those mundane tasks. And again, a lot of times we've seen where average dispatchers now supporting 3 times the number of vehicles they were doing before they went electronic. So that can be a substantial labor cost saving. The other one is paperless impact is invoicing. So no more lost tickets with electronic. You're getting everything back in real time. Some of our clients have been, they lose a ticket, they couldn't invoice. So that's extremely costly. You're forcing the capture of key billing events throughout the work via electronic ticket. You're forcing the drivers to fill in the fields they need to in the electronic form. And at the end of the day, you can do same-day billing. So it's faster payments, improved cash flow. And a lot of our clients have seen billing turnaround going from 20 to 35 days down. Really same-day billing is very common now, which has been a great impact for them. An additional value of going electronic is accuracy of invoices. So when you can reduce invoice disputes, you're reducing your administration overhead, managing disputes. And because it's real time, and billing the same day. You're not trying to resolve a dispute over some handwritten scrawl that was made 4 to 5 weeks ago, and the driver can't remember, no one can remember what happened, and so that can be a challenge. And you also have electronic data to justify billings. Hey, my truck was waiting on site for 40 minutes, and I actually have real-time data. I can show you that information, so we can justify those wait time and extra billing to your clients. It actually improves customer service. When customers get accurate invoices, they're a lot happier. And we've had clients where they've had scenarios where they were at 15% of invoices were being disputed to less than 1%. Huge time and cost saving and huge customer service impact for them. All right. So a quick wrap up. I know we're getting close on time. It was just short to cover a lot of stuff, but again, make sure you designate that driver safety champion. To get those policies and safety policies in place. A lot of you do that already. Just make sure they have that time and management backing to do so. Going paperless reduces safety risks, but beyond those safety risks of our social distancing safety risks and whatnot, and there's also all the other increase of efficiencies and improving your customer service that can help you justify that technology. And again, GPS systems, very common, but they inherently improve driver safety. So if you haven't had one yet or not happy with what you have, absolutely, that should be part of your strategy for overall safety. And with that said, we just wrap up if there's any questions.
All right, awesome job, Mike. A lot of information there. Okay, everyone, we are going to open up the floor now for some of your questions. Just a reminder, if you do have any questions at this time, please send them to the host using the WebEx chat tool on your screen. Provided that we have enough time, I'll pass your question to Mike, and he'll be happy to answer your question here. So we do have a couple questions right out the gate, so we're just going to jump right into it. First question, we use 4 to 5 different types of tickets for our business. Could this system be used? So I'm assuming like they have different types of tickets for different types of orders. What you kind of just went over, Mike, would this system be used? Could this system be used?
Yeah, absolutely. While a lot of the clients may, have one kind of standardized manifest or bill of lading, it's actually pretty common where some of the situations they could have multiple workflows, and so there's the ability to incorporate multiple workflows and different electronic forms simultaneously. And a lot of times, sometimes when we're into client sites, they may have 5, 6 different forms. We often, as we go through workflows, we can actually get that shrunk down to 2 or 3. So, yep, for sure. Good question.
Very awesome. All right, cool. Next question. Do you need any special equipment or computers to run the system from home? So I'm assuming this would be like a dispatching situation. If you're going to end up dispatching from home, do they need any type of special equipment for that?
No, it is cloud-based and hosted. So you need a good internet connection, and if you can avoid the teenagers at home gaming like I have and taking your bandwidth, you're in good shape. So
that definitely always helps. All right, cool. It does look like we have one more question. It looks like this has something to do with the GPS. So how far in location history are you able to look back?
The base is you can look back 1 year, but we have up to 7 years if you choose to want to be able to look back that far. So that can really give you a lot of historical data.
So 7 years that you can look at certain behavior events.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
All right.
That's right. But most people are fine with 1 year, but some people like to go back further, and that's 100% available.
Awesome. All right. Well, that seems that we're going to be wrapping up there. So awesome job, Mike. It looks like that is going to be all the time we have for today. At this time, I'd like to thank you all again for taking the time to attend today's presentation. Hopefully you all secured some valuable takeaways to keep in mind moving forward. Mike, as always, thank you on behalf of AssetWorks once again for just sharing your expertise and your product highlights with everyone today. As you can see, Mike's information is on the screen right here if you want to follow with any questions or concerns. Again, thank you all for attending today. Mike and I will be sticking around for the next few minutes in case you guys have any other questions. Otherwise, have a great day, and we look forward to seeing you next time.